O sacrament most holy, O sacrament divine, all praise and all thanksgiving be evermore in thine. O sacrament most holy, O sacrament divine, all praise and all thanksgiving be evermore in thine. O sacrament most holy, O sacrament divine, all praise and all thanksgiving be evermore in thine. A reading from the letter of St. Paul to the Romans. None of us lives for oneself, and no one dies for oneself. If we live for the Lord. And if we die for the Lord. So then, whether we live or die, we are the Lord's. For this is why Christ died and came to life, that he might be the Lord of both the dead and the living. The word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
St. Paul wrote this letter from the prison of Caesarea Philippi. Remember St. Paul, after he traveled the 3 voyages of the mystery of the missions to establish churches, he returned back to Jerusalem, and there he was accused that he is a Christian, and the Jews want to really make revenge over him because he is a traitor to the Mosaic law. We know what happened, that Festus realized what's going to happen. He really escorted him to Caesarea Philippi, where the Roman headquarters was, and there he left him for 2 years, till one day a vessel who was going to Rome was going to take him so that he can appeal like a citizen of Rome to the emperor himself. And while he is in prison, he is writing this letter in view of visiting Rome. And so St. Paul today is saying to the people of Rome that our lives belongs to God, and even when we die, we belongs to him. None of us lives for oneself. We don't live for ourselves, because God created us and he gave us, as we say, a program. He gave us a purpose of our existence. And so, no one dies for oneself neither. Because if we live because the Lord has intended for us to be at this time, in this space, for a reason. And he went, our journey on earth is finished. When we complete our mission, we also die in him. Here he is speaking about the waters of baptism. In the waters of baptism, we who are sin become a new creation, and so our life now is not us, but is Christ. We put on Christ. Remember what he said, we die to self and we put on Christ. And now he's saying not only we live for him, but even our death is that consummation that each Christian has to have, like him on the cross, that we have complete the mission on earth. Jesus, who is the first Christian, and he is the example of us all, not only finished the job, but he consumed everything, he turned everything to the Father on the cross. And so do we. After we live this life, we have to turn ourselves to God. For if we live for the Lord. In other words, if I live, I don't live for myself. This is what this world thinks, that they live for today. There is no God for them. For them, there are 3 things in life. And that is to make money, so that you can have all the vices that you have, and also that you take care of yourself, because tomorrow never comes. This is the way the people of this world live. And that is a pagan way, yeah? It's a pagan way, because we don't have in our minds the next world. That's what we believe in the Creed. We believe in the resurrection of the body and life everlasting. But some people today, they think that life begins here and ends in the tomb. What a disgrace. And then we hear that he said, and if we die for the Lord. In other words, if we die, we have accomplished what the Lord has given us to do, and He is waiting for us to put on our heads that crown of everlasting joy. It's not the purpose of our existence. We come to this world to acknowledge God, to come to know God, and after we get to know Him and love Him, we serve Him in this life. So after this life, He will give us that life eternal. So then, whether we live or die, belongs to the Lord. So if I live, it's your gain, because I am going to continue to preach Him. I am going to make Him known. Each one of us, it's not our life that we project, but the life of Christ. If I live for myself, I am the most beautiful person. We live for others. And we live for others because what God has given me is not for me, but for others. If God gave me a talent, for example, I am a painter, what's good at the talent if I don't paint and really let others admire my work? What's good at this that I am a great carpenter if I don't do things that really others are going to admire, and even I am going to make a living out of them? And that's the same thing. What is good that I live for myself? I live for Him. And so when I die also for Him. For this is why Christ died and come to life. This is the idea that Christ died on the cross and He rose from the dead. So He will be the Lord of the living and also the Lord of the dead. And that is our call. Our call is that we will be with Christ now in this life because of the sacramental side of the church, because of the mystery, we call it the Paschal mystery of Christ, that we immerse ourselves in the life of Christ, and this life is a replica, a continuation of the mission of Christ. What I have done to you, do it to another. Why? Because I come from the Father to show you how much the Father loves you. And now that the Father loves you so much, that same love that you have received, share it with others. And that is the golden rule. What's good for me, it's good for others. And that's very important that He said those words. And if I die for Him. I die because He is calling me home so that I will be with Him forever. That's what He said to the disciples at the Last Supper. I am going to prepare a place for you. And then when you have finished your mission, I will come back and take you to myself. So where I am, you also may be. St. Paul really immersed in the discourse of Jesus. And that's why he had those beautiful words that he said, it's not me who live, but Christ lives in me. Why? Because it is Christ who is really moved Paul to this point of understanding the true Christian way. To die for Christ and to live for Christ is what our call is all about. We live this life so that we manifest our mission to continue to proclaim the mission of Christ, to continue to announce to the world the good news, and to die so that we too will consume ourselves in that love that St. Paul put it so well. There are three things: hope, faith, and love. The two will cease to exist, but love will remain forever. Because the love of Christ will never end. Will continue in the transfer of our flesh and our bodies and ourselves to live with God. So the God who calls us from the waters of baptism is the God who will always give us that life that begins in baptism and continue for the life eternal.